What's gone is gone. This man, his name was Fritzl. His wife, her name was Lizzie. They had a little baby, Kindly by name, and Spitz, who was a dog. They had 1 cow, 2 goats, 3 pigs, and of geese they had a dozen. That's what they had. They lived on a patch of land, and that's where they worked. Fritzl had to plough the ground, sow the seeds, and hoe the weeds. He had to cut the hay and rake it too, and stack it up in bunches in the sun. The man worked hard, you see, from day to day. Lizzie had the house to clean, the soup to cook, the butter to churn, the barnyard and the baby to care for. She too worked hard each day, as you can plainly see. They both worked hard, but Fritzl always thought that he worked harder. Evenings when he came home from the field, he would sit down, mop his face with his big red handkerchief and say, "Oh, how hot it was in the sun today, and how hard I did work. Little do you know, Lizzie, what a man's work is like. Little do you know. Your work now, it is nothing at all." "Well, it's none too easy," said Lizzie. "None too easy? Pah!" said Fritzl. "All you do is putter and potter around the house a bit. Surely there's nothing hard about such things." "Nay, if you think so," said Lizzie, "we'll take a turn and turn about tomorrow. I will do your work, and you can do mine. I will go out in the fields and cut the hay, and you can stay here at home and potter around a bit. You wish to try it? Yes?" Fritzl thought he would like that well enough. To lie on the grass and keep an eye on his Kindly girl, to sit in the cool shade and churn, to fry a bit of sausage and cook a little soup. Ha! That would be easy. Yes, he'd try that. Well, Lizzie lost no time the next morning. There she was at the peep of day, striding out across the field with a jug of water in her hand and the scythe over her shoulder. And Fritzl, where was he? He was in the kitchen, frying a string of juicy sausages for his breakfast. There he sat, holding the pan over the fire, and as the sausage was sizzling and frizzling in the pan, Fritzl was lost in pleasant thoughts. A mug of cider now. That's what he was thinking. A mug of apple cider with my sausage. That would just be the right thing. No sooner thought than done. Fritzl set the pan on the edge of the fireplace and went down into the cellar, where there was a big barrel full of cider. He pulled the bung from the barrel and watched the cider spurt into his mug, sparkling and foaming so that it was a joy to see. But hurrah! What was that noise up in the kitchen? Such a scuffle and clatter! Could it be that Spitz dog after the sausages? Yes, that's what it was. And when Fritzl reached the top of the stairs, there he was, that dog, dashing out of the kitchen door with a string of juicy sausages flying around him. Fritzl made for him, crying, "Hula, hula, hey, hi, hula, hula!" But the dog didn't stop. Fritzl ran, Spitz ran too. Fritzl ran fast, Spitz ran faster, and at the end of it was that the dog got away, and now Fritzl had to give up the chase. "Na, what's gone is gone," said Fritzl, shrugging his shoulders. And so he turned back, puffing and panting, and mopping his face with his big red handkerchief. But the cider now, had he put the bung back in the barrel? No, he hadn't, for here he was still holding the bung in his fist. With big fast steps Fritzl ran home, but it was too late, for look! The cider had filled the mug and had run all over the cellar besides. Fritzl looked at the cellar full of cider, then he scratched his head and said, Na, what's gone is gone." Well, now it was high time to churn the butter. Fritzl filled the churn with good rich cream, took it under a tree and began to churn with all of his might. His little Kindly was out there too, playing moo-cow among the daisies. The sky was blue, the sun right gay and golden, and the flowers, they were like angels' eyes blinking in the grass. "Now, this is pleasant," thought Fritzl, as he churned away. "At last I can rest my weary legs. But wait, what about the cow? I've forgotten all about her, and she hasn't had a drop of water all morning, the poor thing." With big fast steps Fritzl ran to the barn, carrying a bucket of cool fresh water for the cow. And high time it was too, I can tell you, for the poor creature's tongue was hanging out of her mouth with the long thirst that was in her. She was hungry too, as a man could well see by the looks of her, so Fritzl took her from the barn and started off with her to the greeny, grassy meadow. But wait, there was that Kindly to think of. She would surely get into trouble if he went out into the meadow. No, better not take the cow out to the meadow at all, better keep her nearby on the roof. The roof? Yes, the roof. Fritzl's house was not covered with shingles or tin or tile. It was covered with moss and sod, and a fine crop of grass and flowers grew there. To take the cow up on the roof was not so hard as you might think either. Fritzl's house was built into the side of a hill. Up the little hill, over a little shed, and from there to the green grassy roof. That was all there was to do, and it would soon be done. The cow liked it right well enough there on the roof, and was soon munching away with a will, so Fritzl hurried back to his churning. But hula hooey! What did he see under the tree? Kindly was climbing up on the churn was tipping, slipping, falling, and now there on the grass lay Kindly, all covered with half-churned cream and butter. So that's the end of our butter, said Fritzl, and he blinked and blinked his blue eyes. Then he shrugged his shoulders and said, No, what's gone is gone. He picked up his dripping Kindly and set her in the sun to dry. But the sun now, it had climbed high up into the heavens. Noontime it was, no dinner made, and Lizzie would soon be home for a bite to eat. With big fast steps Fritzl hurried off to the garden. He gathered potatoes and onions, carrots and cabbages, beets and beans, turnips, parsley and celery. A little bit of everything, that will make a good soup, said Fritzl, as he went back to the house, his arms so full of vegetables that he could not even close the garden gate behind him. He sat on a bench in the kitchen and began cutting and paring away. How the man did work, and how the peelings and parings did fly! But now there was a great noise above him. Fritzl jumped to his feet. "The cow," he said. "She's sliding around much on the roof. She might slip off and break her neck." Up on the roof went Fritzl once more, this time with loops of heavy rope. Now listen carefully, and I will tell you what he did with it. He took one end of the rope and tied it around the cow's middle. The other end of the rope he dropped down the chimney, and this he pulled around the fireplace into the kitchen below. And then he took the end of the rope, which was hanging out of the fireplace, and tied it around his own middle with a good right knot. That's what he did. "Oh, yo, ho, ho," he chuckled. "That will keep the cow from falling off the roof." And he began to whistle as he went on with his work. He heaped some sticks on the fireplace and set a big kettle of water over it. "Na," he said, "things are going as they should at last, and we'll soon have a good big soup. Now I'll put the vegetables in the kettle," and that he did. "And now I'll put the bacon," and that he did too. "And now I'll light the fire," but that he never did, for just then, with a bump and a thump, the cow slipped over the edge of the roof after all, and Fritzl, well, he was whisked up that chimney, and there he dangled, the poor man, and couldn't get up and couldn't get down. Before long, there came Lizzie home from the fields, with the water jug in her hand and the scythe over her shoulder. But halloo, halloo! What was that dangling over the edge of the roof? The cow? Yes, the cow, and half choked she was too, with her eyes bulging and her tongue hanging out. Lizzie lost no time. She took the scythe, and rich, the rope was cut, and there was the cow wobbling on her 4 legs, but alive and well, heaven be praised. Now Lizzie saw the garden with its gate wide open. There were the pigs and goats and all the geese too. They were full to bursting, but the garden, well, that was now empty. Lizzie walked on, and now what did she see? The churn upturned and Kindly there in the sun, stiff and sticky with dried cream and butter. Lizzie looked in the cellar. There was a cider all over the floor and halfway up the stairs besides. Lizzie looked in the kitchen. The floor, it was piled high with peelings and parings and littered with dishes and pans. At last Lizzie saw the fireplace. Ho, la! What was that in the soup kettle? 2 arms were waving, 2 legs were kicking, and a gurgling, bubbling, and weak-like was coming out of the water. "Nana, what can this mean?" cried Lizzie. She did not know, but we do, yes? That when she saved the cow outside, something happened to Fritzl inside. Yes, yes. As soon as the cow's rope was cut, Fritzl, the poor man, he dropped down from the chimney and crash, splash, fell right into the kettle of soup in the fireplace. Lizzie lost no time. She pulled at the 2 arms and tugged at the 2 legs, and there, dripping and spluttering, with a cabbage leaf in his hair, celery in his pocket, and a sprig of parsley over one ear, was Sir Fritzl. "Nana, my man," said Lizzie, "is that the way you keep house, yes?" "Oh, Lizzie, Lizzie," spluttered Fritzl, "you're right. That work of yours, 'tis none too easy." "'Tis a little hard at first," said Lizzie, "but tomorrow maybe you'll do better." "Nay, nay," cried Fritzl, "what's gone is gone, and so is my housework from this day on. Please, please, my Lizzie, let me go back to my work in the fields, and never more will I say that my work is harder than yours." "Well then," said Lizzie, "if that's how it is, we surely can live in peace and happiness forever and ever." And that they did.